Good morning. It is Sunday morning, December 23rd at 11:32 a.m. and it's a great day to be alive. I want to thank you all for tuning in to these motivational and what I hope to be inspirational videos. Now, before I get started and I get into the meat of what my message is today, I need to touch on one quick point. The first video that I made that I entitled Grabbing for the Gold received a lot of positive feedback, and I'm really happy that it seemed to help somebody out there, because my goal in making these videos is to take my life's experience, the good, the bad, the indifferent, and perhaps maybe the way that I overcame these challenges. It may enlighten someone else's life. They may be going through something that I went through, and this may bring a thought to their mind they never considered. So if I just help one person in all the videos that I'll post as I continue to walk across America, then this page was worth creating. But surprisingly enough, I did get 2 negative feedbacks, and they came to me anonymously in the email. Now I know who this person is. In my first video, I did mention them by name, and I will not give them the limelight, not even in this video or any video, by mentioning them by name. But they've been hounding me and bashing me for the last 2 years, in the time it took me to plan for this walk and in the time that I've walked so far. They bashed me through voicemails, text messages, emails, fake Facebook profiles, on and on. So let me touch on the point that they brought to me just in case somebody else feels this way. And I want to say this and get it out of the way. They said to me, Mac, you don't have the right to give advice. You don't have a PhD. You don't possess a doctorate. You didn't spend one day in college. And they're absolutely right. I don't possess any of that. So please let me make it very clear that I'm not portraying myself as a trained professional. I'm just taking the experiences I've had in life, sharing them with you, and perhaps what I've been through will help you get through something similar. So if I say or do anything that's disrespectful to you, that offends you, that angers you, first and foremost and out front, I apologize. I try to be very polite in these videos. I use my manners. You won't hear me cussing in these videos. I won't point anybody out and tell them they're wrong for what they do or don't do, because in my opinion, maybe what they're doing in life is right for them, but it's wrong for me. So I don't see them doing something wrong. I just see them doing something different. So, correct, anonymous emailer, I don't have a PhD. These are just my experiences in life, and I hope that they help somebody else get through what they're going through. Okay, enough about that. If you haven't seen the first video, which I entitled Grabbing for the Gold, I really encourage you to watch it. It's about 45 minutes long. It's not a requirement. You can, in time, I'll have a bunch of videos up over the next few months, and you can skip and hop between videos if you want to. This isn't a course you have to accomplish one video to go to the next. But if you watch the first one, then this one will make more sense. Again, it's not required, but at times I will refer back to the first video in making points that I want to make. Like I said a moment ago, these things I share with you are experiences in my life. If you were to ask anyone who's known me for any long length of time, and if you were to ask them to describe me in one word, chances are they're going to use the word adventurous. I've been blessed by God or whoever put this upon me that I've been blessed with a very adventurous life. I've been through things that should have killed me, but I overcame them. I've been in situations that I was flat on my face, literally dumpster diving for food or sleeping under a bridge that most people would give up on. But I took it as an adventure, and I overcame that obstacle and landed back on my feet. So I lived a very adventurous life. And I thought to put kind of a comical twist to this, I would share the funny parts of my life with you before getting into the meat of what I want to talk about. So one of the stories I want to share with you, some years ago I was a truck driver. I drove for probably about 8 years coast to coast. I was a long hauler, over the road trucker. Well, my first driving job was with a company here in Florida called Lester Coggins. Now, you'll see them mostly up and down the East Coast. Sometimes they'll branch out to the Midwest and even to the West Coast. But they primarily focus, when I was driving for them, they primarily focused everything east of the Mississippi. And you primarily drive as a team with this company. Their main, most of their loads are exporting things out of Florida, such as juice and foliage, like plants. And then they bring things into Florida. If you can think of Florida as a, not so much a foreign country, but not part of the U.S. as a whole, we kind of branch out from that. So they export a lot of goods out of Florida. I mean, eventually you can have your own truck. You can be assigned your own truck and drive solo if you choose to. And that's what I wanted to do in the end. So for the first couple of months, I drove as a team and eventually got my own truck. And this is where that funny story branches from. So I get my very own truck, and I really want to impress my boss. So my first load, it was juice. It was going to go from Oklahumpka, Florida, where Lester Coggins is stationed out in Florida, and it was going to Sparks, Nevada. And if you don't know where Sparks, Nevada is, it's in the northwest corner of Nevada. So to go from Oklahumpka, Florida to Sparks, Nevada was about a 2.5 to 3 day trip. They allowed me that much time to get there. Well, I wasn't scheduled to leave until the very next morning at 8 a.m. But I thought, you know what? I really want to impress my boss. So I'm going to leave tonight. And I did the math, and I would have, if I would have stayed on the road and drove legally, I would have gotten to Sparks about 10 to 12 hours earlier than scheduled. I thought, that's going to impress my boss. It's going to impress the shipper. It's going to impress the receiver. Everyone's going to think I'm the best trucker that ever existed. That was my mentality. So I got in my truck that night. I hooked up to my trailer, and I hit the road. And I'm like, the entire time, I'm the #1 trucker in the world. I'm going to get there early and just impress everybody. Well, I get to Sparks, Nevada, again, about 10 to 12 hours earlier than scheduled. I turn my truck around to back up to the dock. I get about 10 feet from the dock entrance. I set my brakes. I get out to the back of the truck to open the doors, and the trailer is empty. In my infinite wisdom, I grabbed the wrong trailer back in Oklahumpka, Florida. So I called my dispatcher and said, "You're never going to guess what happened." And they said to me, "We know you grabbed the wrong trailer." And for some reason, for weeks after that, they referred to me as Deadhead. So I wanted to share that little funny moment of my life with you. Now, today's message I want to entitle Turning Impossible into I'm possible. As I mentioned in my first video, and this will be the theme for most of my videos, I really believe that where you end up in life, or the path that you choose to take to get to where you want to go, is a conscious choice. Everybody has what I refer to as the blueprint for your life. Now, your blueprint may be that you want to be a doctor, or your blueprint may be you want to be a truck driver. Your blueprint may be that you want to be a senator, or a Marine, or a sailor, or own your own business. And you know what? Your blueprint may be even that you want to be homeless. I know that sounds ridiculous. In my life, I've been homeless a couple of times. I won't get into the reason why, not in this video. But I have found myself homeless before, where I was waiting in soup lines for food, even a few times dumpster diving for food. I've slept under bridges. I've actually had to physically fight a few times for a place or a spot to sleep. Again, I won't get into why that I went through that in my life, but I have met people on the street that love to be homeless. They choose that life. As hard as it is for most people, they're comfortable there. That's their comfort zone. So today I'm going to touch on the blueprint of your life and the best way to get there. Now, if you haven't watched my first video that I entitled Going for the Gold, I really encourage you to watch that first before you get further into this one. It's about 45 minutes long. Now, it's not a requirement. You can watch this one first and that one next, but I'll make a few points that refer back to that video. This one will still make sense, but I think it'll make more sense if you watch that one first. But being that as it may, you can watch this one first and not even watch the first one. But all of my videos will focus on the fact that happiness and a positive attitude and being optimistic is a true choice, and why I believe we choose that path. I think we operate both on two different levels: happiness, pain, and fear. We choose things that make us happy. I think that's a given. But sometimes I don't think people know how to find what makes them happy. I think they stay in what they are in fear. The analogy I like to use is, if you can picture yourself holding onto a boulder in the middle of a fast-moving river, and the waves are slapping you against your head, and your head's slapping against the boulder, and it's painful to stay there. But it's better than not knowing what's further down the river. There could be a waterfall, there could be more boulders, or there could be dry land, but because you're unsure what's there, you'd rather stay in what's painful for you than to let go and follow your own instincts and go for something that's better. Now, one of my favorite quotes about fear, I didn't create this quote, I heard of it once in a movie, and it really stuck to me. And it simply says this: our deepest fear is not that we are inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. It is our light, not our darkness, that most frightens us. You playing small does not serve the world. There is nothing enlightened so that others won't feel insecure around you. We were all meant to shine as children. It's not in just one of us, it's in everyone. And as we let our own light shine, we unconsciously give others permission to do the same. As we are liberated from our own fear, our presence automatically liberates others. sometimes people won't go for the gold because they have the fear of falling. I often hear people say, well, you know, the higher you climb, the further you fall, and the worse it feels. And I guess if you look at it that way, that can be pretty much true. But in my own life, I've been in positions where I was in a lot of pain, whether it be mentally or physically. Being homeless to me was painful. And getting out of being homeless wasn't easy sometimes. It's just like trying to quit smoking or trying to lose weight or trying to leave that abusive relationships that you're in, or maybe finding a new job, or maybe moving to a different part of the country, or maybe trying to get promoted. You're, as much as it hurts to be where you are, you're more scared than to try something else because that fear is more painful for you than where you are. This walk that I'm on, many people have asked me, Mac, how do you walk 15,000 miles? And it took me about a year and a half to plan for this walk. And it was painful for me to wait that long because another way someone might describe me is I'm impatient. And that's something I have to work on at a personal level. But I'm not the most patient person in the world. Often when I pray for patience, I say, Lord, I need patience, but I need it now. That's my mindset. When I first put this plan on paper to walk across the country, I wanted to leave practically the very next day. It was my family, my niece, her children, my friend Tim, and others that said, Mac, you've got to stop and you got to plan this out. You're walking to every capital. That's a huge endeavor. And it's not something you can just throw caution in the wind for and just walk. It's got to be planned. Well, even now, I can't think of the big picture 15,000 miles. Now, some of you may wonder how I came up with that number. In the research I did for this walk, I spoke with a guy named Darren Gardner. Now, Darren Gardner rode his motorcycle to the 48 continental capitals, and he clocked on his motorcycle 15,000 miles. So that's where that number comes from. Now, I can't walk the exact route that he rode because he rode primarily on freeways and highways, and I can't walk on those. So my walk is staggered, it's serpentine, it's kind of a weird route that I take sometimes. So there's a very good chance that my walk may end up being 20,000 miles. But I'm still asked, Mac, how do you mentally walk 15,000 miles? And I do that by the same way I think we leave a painful position or situation and get to a better place. I do it in small bites. Now, to date, I started my walk from Stafford, Virginia, and I walked all the way to Ground Zero, New York. I then turned south and walked into Florida, where I currently am. To date, I've walked 1,373 miles. Now, I know that I've done that because I did it, but I still can't wrap my mind around the fact that I did. But I did the 15,000 in small bites. If you're trying to quit smoking, or you're trying to lose weight, or you're trying to leave an abusive relationship, or even an uncomfortable relationship, or you're trying to get a better paying job or move to a different place in the country because where you are it's too cold or it's too hot or you just don't like the town you're in, maybe it scares you to do it all at once. So do it in tiny bites. The old cliche that the best way to walk 1,000 miles is one step at a time holds true. You know, my father used to say, and this is the analogy I use in my walking. He said the best way, the absolute best way to eat an elephant is one bite at a time. Nobody, or I don't know anybody, who has achieved a huge goal all at once. Now, even if you take little bites at a time to eat that elephant, or to move, or to leave that relationship, people may say to you, God, you're taking a long time. Are you ever going to get there? The person that has been berating me for over 2 years now, I often get emails or a message from them in a text message or an email or posting on Facebook. You're taking an awful long time to make this walk. I know people that have walked faster than you, or longer than you, or better than you. I just keep focused on the fact that I'm not walking their race. I'm not doing it for their cause or their mission. I'm walking my own race, just like you should if you're trying to lose weight. If it takes you a week to lose 1 pound, that's 1 pound less than you weighed a week earlier. So my message to you is to go from unhappiness or pain and choose and achieve the happiness or the blueprint in the life where you want to be may take you longer than the norm, but that's not the important part. One of the things that I mentioned in my previous video of grabbing for gold, you may be in your 50s. I'm 51 years old. And the average 50-year-old isn't walking across the country. The average 50-year-old, they're retired by now sometimes. They're sipping margaritas in Jamaica on the white sand beach in Clearwater. Or they're near the end of their career, and within the next few years they're going to retire. And that works for them. So you may not get to where you want to go by somebody else's measure or time scale, but you can get there on your time scale. And I encourage you, whatever your mission might be, let's say it's losing weight, make a log, write it down, and before you know it, weeks and months will go by, and you'll see that log or that record of what you're doing become more of a success. When I first started this walk, excuse me, I couldn't picture walking all the way to New York. That's a pretty long way, but I did it. When I crossed into Florida, that was a huge goal for me because that was the furthest south I was going to go. I mean, Tallahassee, of course. When I was leaving New York, Tallahassee, Florida looked a million miles away. It might as well have been because I was walking to get there. So even though that was my goal, that was my blueprint at that time to reach Florida, I did it in small increments. If you're in a bad relationship and this person keeps you down, whether it's your girlfriend, boyfriend, husband, wife, even if it's your best friend you've known for years, if it's coworkers, if it's somebody you've known for a long time, and they keep telling you there's no way you can do that. You're too old to go back to school. If you're 55 years old and you want to become a doctor, and you're not going to graduate until you're 70, so what? Then be the oldest and the first 70-year-old to get a doctorate. If your plan is a small thing like trying to lose 5 pounds, and you're at a plateau and you've been trying for months to lose that last 5 pounds, you're only a failure if you quit. I really believe that as you chip away at your goal, again, whatever your blueprint might be, and you're trying to leave the uncomfortable point where you can get that smoother sailing to that blueprint. You have to make that uncomfortable place more comfortable. You have to make that's why I believe even if you have to do it in small increments, when you achieve a goal, whether you graduate high school or you've run your first mile or you've lost your first pound or you found your ideal soulmate, you're happy. It's proven. You've heard the old cliche that laughter is the best medicine. That is so true. When you're happy and you're optimistic and you possess that can-do attitude and you smile all the time and you laugh a lot, it literally releases endorphins into your system that helps you fight off diseases. There was a study, a scientific study done by a committee called the Proceedings of the National Academy Science, and it states that positive states of mind is related to favorable profiles of functioning in several biological systems and is related in the body's, relevant in the body's defense system and helps the body defense against diseases. You'll find that most of the time, people who are always happy or love where they are, they're some of the most healthiest people in the world. So make whatever you're trying to get to from where you're at now, as uncomfortable as it is, make it a game. I remember, and I'm not suggesting you go this far, but make it a game, make it a goal. Um, I remember years ago, I was very, very heavy. Now, I'm still not where I want to be. One of my goals or my New Year's resolution is to lose weight. But at this point in my life, years ago, I was heavier than I am now. And a friend suggested to me, let's put you on the Alpo diet. You have X amount of time to lose X amount of weight. And if you don't, you have to eat a can of Alpo. Well, nobody wants to eat Alpo, especially me. So my happiness was losing the weight to avoid having to eat that kind of Alpo. Now, if your goal is to get out of that bad relationship, whether it be from a spouse or a significant other, whether it be a boss who treats you like garbage, whether it's to change your network of friends, I really believe that we teach people how to treat us. If someone's always bashing you or showing you disrespect or talking down to you or abusing you, you may not have asked for that in the beginning, and you'll forgive me if this sounds mean. It may not be your fault that you're in that relationship. Maybe when you first started, you were promised a rose garden, and now it's just a row of weeds. I really believe we teach people how to treat us. So if you're in that bad relationship, then you have to teach yourself or teach them how to treat you. Stand up for yourself. I believe that the strongest aspect you can have in your life, even more powerful than how much you weigh or your physical appearance or your job, I think the most powerful aspect you can have in life is the confidence in yourself. If you can sell yourself, if you're confident, you stand up with your shoulders back, and you stand tall in what you do, and you believe in what you do, you're going to find that people are going to be amazed to be around you. To give you an example of how this being confident played a very important role in my life. It's been over 10 years ago. I used to um, work in the medical field as a certified nursing assistant. I loved what I was doing. I was taking care of the elderly, and I loved it. Well, I chose to go from that to being a personal care provider for one single person. And the person I was working for was a quadriplegic. I won't give you his name because this person is a very private person, and I won't put his name out there on the internet. But he had broken his neck and was a C4, C5 quad, and he was looking for a new assistant to take care of him and that kind of thing. Well, I went for the job interview, and during the interview, this person also was an attorney. I need to make that point very clear. During the interview, I think I was about the fifth or sixth person who interviewed for the job, and there were still more people interviewing for the job. This person asked me, they said, look, the three people who interviewed before you, they're RNs, they're registered nurses, and they've got a minimum of 10 years experience taking care of people in my position. And I could see on my list of people coming after you, they also have more experience than you. Why would I hire you over somebody else? What can you tell me about yourself that you will stick out from them? And I said to him, I said, well, let me answer that question with a question. I said, if you won a multi-million-dollar lawsuit for your client, that would be a great opportunity for you, correct? And he said to me, yes, that'd be a great opportunity for me. I said, sir, I am your next great opportunity. And he kind of looked at me. Long story short, I got the job. If you truly believe in yourself, and most people, well, a lot of people that I've met don't. They have a low self-esteem, and sometimes it's not their fault that they have that. They may have parents that were very abusive. They may be in a very abusive relationship. Even their boss might be very abusive. And not always physically, but sometimes even mentally. But I really believe to get where you need to be in your blueprint, you have to believe that you're going to get there. Never allow anyone to talk down to you. Never allow someone to tell you can't do something. If you have a dream or you have a goal or you have a specific blueprint where you want to be by a certain time in life, then you have to go for that. You have to protect that dream. Now, will it always be easy? Absolutely not. I can tell you on this walk that I never anticipated the pain and the painful blisters and the heel spur and the hills I've had to climb. I never anticipated that. But I believe in myself enough that my blueprint, my goal is to cross the finish line, not by any given time. I knew that I couldn't write in stone the exact time I'm going to finish, but the fact that I am. More times than not, or often I say this, even if I have to cross that finish line, beaten, battered, on my hands and knees, and bleeding, I'm still going to finish. There is a story that this young man wanted to be the best rapper in the world. He wanted to make thousands and millions of dollars, and he was willing to do anything for it. But he didn't know how to get there. So he went to this wise man. He said, sir, I want to be the richest rapper in the world, but I don't know how to get there. Can you help me? And this wise man said, I want you to meet me at the beach tomorrow morning at 6 a.m. and wear your best suit. And this kid thought, a three-piece suit on the beach at 6 a.m.? How in the world is that going to make me the best rapper in the world? But you know what? I'm open to the idea. So the next morning at 6 a.m., he's at the beach in his best suit. And the wise man said, I want you to walk out into the surf up to your knees. Kid's thinking, how's that going to make me the best rapper in the world? But he does it because he's open for ideas. So he stands in the surf up to his knees. He says, okay, sir, I'm here up to my knees. What next? And the wise man said, I now want you to walk up out there up to your waist. And the kid kind of looks at the wise man, but he said, okay. So he walks out there up to his waist. And the waves are splashing in his face. And his suit's getting ruined. And the kid now says, now what? And the wise man says, now go out there up to your neck. And the kid's like laughing, but he's open for ideas, so he goes out up to his neck. And when he gets out there, the wise man's next to him. And the wise man grabs him by the back of the neck and shoves his head under the water and holds him there. And the kid's fighting for air. He's fighting to breathe. He's fighting to get out of the water. And the wise man pulls his head out of the water. And the kid takes a deep breath. And when he starts breathing normal again, the wise man pushes his head back under the water. And he does this several times. And the last time he brings the kid up out of the water. And the kid's like, what are you doing? Why are you doing this? The wise man says, whatever goal you have in your life, I want you to want it more than you want to breathe. How hard are you willing to work for what you want or the blueprint you want in your life? Against all the odds, against people telling you you'll never get there, against people talking down to you, against the hills you have to climb, against the storms that are in your face, how bad do you want to get there? So my message today is, turn impossible into I'm possible. Maybe someone has never done what you've done. It doesn't mean it can't be done. I also believe that impossible is an opinion. It's not a fact. If you want to be the first 65-year-old doctor, then do it. If you want to be the first 15-year-old attorney, then do it. Whatever discomfort you're in, and when you feel pain, you have to make that pain into something you enjoy, even if it's in tiny steps. Even if you have to eat that elephant one teaspoon at a time. If your elephant is your unhappiness and you want to get rid of that elephant, just one step at a time or one bite at a time. Well, I hope this video has helped you. I hope that maybe it's turned on a light in your mind that one of your if your resolutions is to lose weight or to get out of a bad relationship or to find a better job, I hope this has helped you get there. In closing, I want to kind of switch gears for a moment and talk about something that's close to my heart. I don't have to tell you about the story about those poor children in Sandy Hook Elementary School that were killed. And then soon after, there was a shooting at a Pennsylvania school. There was a shooting at a mall, I believe, that was also in Pennsylvania. Year after year, there's a shooting somewhere, or someone dies overseas in combat, or someone is killed in a DUI accident, or someone dies unexpectedly. What's my point in all this? Life is short. You never know when it's going to be pulled away from you, or someone you know or love is not going to be here anymore. If there's someone in your life that you haven't talked to in years, and you're mad at them, maybe they hurt you to the core, maybe they took something from you, or they used you, or they lied to you, or they angered you to the point where you just cut them out of your life. Maybe it's a family member. Maybe it's a best friend that you haven't talked to in years. Life is too short to hold that grudge. Make one of your resolutions next year to send them an email. You don't have to let them back in your life all at once. If they want to come back in your life Give them conditions. Okay, you can come back in my life, but it has to be at my terms. Small step by small step. So I want to close this video by saying hate is a powerful thing. If someone really upset you and you haven't spoken to them in months or even years, stop holding that grudge. Because you know what? The one thing you can never get back is time. You can lose money and make it back. But if you lose time, you can't get that time back. I've lost both my parents unexpectedly. And I wish I was more in tune with them than I was. If someone that you are mad at, if they die, it's too late to say, let's work on this again. Let's become friends again. So I implore you, I beg you, if there's someone that hurt you bad, but you want them back in your life, please do it today. Because you never know what happens tomorrow. Thank you again for taking the time to listen to my video. I hope that it helps. Every Sunday at noon or approximately around noon, I'll post another video. And I hope it helps out someone. I hope what I've shared with you helps you. So take that impossible dream or that impossible place where you want to be in life and make it impossible. To my baby girl, Katie, I love you very much. You're right here in my heart. You always are. If you want to leave comments about my videos, please feel free. So, with that being said, may God bless you all. May everyone's Christmas be a blessed one. May it bring joy and happiness and bliss. And until next Sunday, Semper Fi.